Hey everyone, I'm Joe and today I'm doing my second quarter book stats video of 2017. Now last year in 2016 I did a full year book stats video, and whilst it was interesting, I noticed several other booktubers throughout last year had done a quarterly book stats video, namely Katie. So if you've noticed, 3 months ago I did my first quarter book stats video, and I like the idea of doing them on a quarterly basis every 3 months because this shows a bit more of a progression and a bit more of a evolution on both my reading of books and indeed of my buying of books, because this is indeed includes both. It's not just what I've read, it's what I've bought as well, because I think the combination of the two, and obviously seeing how many books you've bought compared to how many books you've read, to be an interesting one. And hopefully it might be able to help me sort of calm down on buying books, because I do buy several on a regular basis. So as you can tell by the angle change, it's time for the stats. So the first one doesn't actually require a chart, and that is the total number of books I've read, and that differs from the Goodreads total read, because I am not including the short story magazines and such that I'm reading on my personal spreadsheet, because I've read 99 things in total. Now my Goodreads goal that I did set, I didn't originally plan to, but I thought I might as well, was 104, and frankly, so I'm going to destroy that by a long margin. I'm going to probably double it, if not even go further than that, but we'll see in time. It's not about the amount, it's about the quality. Although if I can read a large amount of quality, so much the better, frankly, because, well, that's just ideal. Now on to the books read per month, and as you can see by the graph, this has slowed down a bit since April. In April it was consistent at 18, and then it dropped to 15, and then it dropped to 12. I'm not really surprised, especially with as it gets towards summer. I am not a summer person, I don't deal with the heat at all well. I prefer sort of colder temperatures, frankly, because I can function correctly. So the hotter it is, the less I read, because I just can't concentrate. It destroys my concentration really bad. And obviously in the summer you tend to do other things. One thing obviously is sometimes warm enough to actually go outside, although it is England, so that's debatable. But yeah, so my focus is a little bit different in the summer, tends to be, due to the weather and things. The next graph is page count, and as you can see, this is not frankly that interesting because this follows that trend pretty exactly, really. Of course, yes, there is a slight increase in the length of books that I've read, ever so slightly, but not enough to be anything significant, frankly. So it's sort of a fairly uninteresting stat, frankly. Next up is the genre breakdown. I always like this stat, even though it is sort of predictable, because as you can tell, science fiction dominates really badly. Over 60% is science fiction. This is exactly what it always normally is. It's normally between 60 to 70. However, this time there is a decent amount of fantasy, which is also not totally unusual, but can be occasionally. And unusually, though, there is a reasonable amount of crime and mystery, which for me is unusual because I've never really been a crime mystery type reader, but obviously in the last sort of 6 months, year, I've been steadily getting into it a little bit more, and obviously this is now starting to show up on my stats, which I'm perfectly happy with. I like crime and mystery, obviously, which I never knew up until a few years ago, frankly. Next up is author gender. Now this is one obviously that I am particularly keen on knowing, because I want to sort of even my ratio of male to female authors up, and as you can tell by the graph, I've managed to do this extremely well. At the moment it is still managing to be slightly more female than male, although not by as much as it was in the previous 3 months. And overall I'm just really happy with this, because but frankly last year, and indeed every other year prior to that, it's always been extremely male oriented, like 80% plus male to and that's just terrible. Now the fact I've actually managed to get more female authors than male is frankly remarkable, and I would like this to continue. If I can get a nice even 50-50 split constantly from now on, I'd be extremely happy with that. I really would. That's the way I want things to be. So we'll see. Next up is the author origin, and for this, by the way, I'm counting where the author was born. So if they were born in one country, but they moved when they were very young to another country and lived like nearly their entire lives there. Frankly, I don't care. It's where they were born only, because there has to be a cut-off point somewhere, and that's mine. Anyway, as you can tell by the graph, this is frankly not surprising, and indeed is predictable going by previous stats, because it is heavily US based, with a large amount of UK authors and small amounts of a few other countries. There's only about 10 countries in total, or less than that. So this isn't surprising. I mean, a lot of the authors that I like are obviously American. All, as you can see, all here behind on the shelf, and then there's a decent amount of English. So I would like this to be slightly less sort of American focused, but I'm not going to read completely different books just to change a statistic, frankly, because that'd be stupid. So although if there's a choice between two authors, I might slightly on the choice of the non-American, but we'll see. Next up is the page count, and as you can tell by the graph, this has been fairly consistent yet again, and this obviously indicates that I've read slightly longer books, but not by an enormous margin. So it's not the most interesting stat, frankly, because it's so consistent and so sort of reliable, and it also links up to the number of books read so sort of precisely normally that, again, it's not the most exciting stat, frankly. I'm including it here for completeness, frankly. The penultimate reading stat is the year the book was published, and as you can tell, this heavily focuses on newer authors, most of them after 2010, although a certain amount after the 2000 as well. But unlike the start 3 months of this year, it is now started to include a few more older authors again, which for me is fairly normal, because I do like my classic science fiction in particular. So this has sort of started to raise a little bit. I mean, it still probably have a lot of new stuff, but the fact that it's got a few older things there makes me a bit more. It sort of makes me happy, to see and to know that I'm actually reading some of those science fiction classics again, because for the first 3 months I was a bit lighter on the classics and stuff, which was a bit of a shame, I think. And I'm just happy that I've actually managed to get a book read in every single decade on this graph as well, which is a good achievement, I think. And the final reading stat is the format read, and as you can tell, this has now reversed from what it was. It used to be more ebooks than physical books, and now it's gone the opposite way. This is not really surprising, because I started off in the first few months reading several longer ebook series, like 7 or 8 books in a series. So obviously that sort of skewed the results a bit, but I am trying to read my own books as well on the shelf there, rather than buy new ones. Therefore that will make it more physical, because I've got a lot of unread physical behind me, an awful lot. So this will probably be sort of like normal from now on, really. Frankly, the start of the year was a bit of an unusual abnormality, frankly. Now on to book buying, and the first one doesn't have a graph, and that is the total number of books I have bought is 71. Well, actually say bought, that's not actually correct. The total number of books gained is 71, in fact, which includes books sent to me by the publisher, and indeed any books that I were given as a present, because it was my birthday in June. The total number of books I personally purchased was 65 in the previous 3 months. So I haven't received as many sort of free books in whatever format as the previous 3 months. The first 3 months there was a much larger amount, almost 20 books that I'd received for free. So this has greatly decreased in the second quarter. But I'm not. Frankly, I'm trying to buy less books, frankly, if you didn't know. So the fact that this has decreased is perfectly fine by me. I want these stats to be smaller than they were. Next up is the genre breakdown, and this graph should be familiar to you, as you've seen from a few minutes ago, because yet again science fiction dominates, as it always will on my channel, because, well, it's me, I like science fiction. However, yet again, there is a decent fantasy element to it, and there is also considerable sort of crime and mystery element as well. As I said, I've started getting into those genres a bit more, and certain books and certain series have meant that I've bought a lot of books in those series, although I am going to try and buy less books, so this will probably be a different in time, but I don't know yet. Because with me, I thought I'm not going to buy books, then I kind of do, so we'll see. Next up is book format, and like the book's read format, this is also reversed. This is now more heavy on the ebook than physical. In the first 3 months it was the opposite way around. I'm not surprised by this considering the books I've bought, and this is also heavily influenced by the fact that I did I bought a load of books from the Humble Bundle website because they did a Nebula showcase, and I bought that, and that was over 40 books in one go. So yeah, that's going to skew the results quite badly. I was almost unsure whether to include those books, frankly, on it, but I decided, well, yeah, I did buy them in a normal manner, so it does need to be included, even though it makes the results a bit peculiar. Yeah, just one of those things. Next up is book source, and frankly, there's no real change over the first 3 months of this year, other than a very slight reduction of 5% in online book buying. I've bought a few more books in physical shops, frankly. Well, that's sort of fairly unpredictable, and you can never sort of say what it will be, because sometimes I'll buy more books online, sometimes I'll go to bookshops more. I don't have access to that many bookshops, frankly. Well, actually I've only got access to one bookshop. Admittedly, it's a very large bookshop, but it's still only one bookshop. So frankly, if I do any major physical bookshop buying, it essentially involved me having to go down to London for the day to do it, because anything else is not as easy. So it will never be super heavily on physical bookshops. It will always have a very large amount of online book buying, which is, to be expected for me. Then we have book source cost, and as you can see, this is extremely even. This is a stat that I'm not even sure if I'm going to keep including it, frankly, much past this video, because it's extremely predictable. Yes, I've bought more ebooks in total than physical books this year by a small margin, yet the price is actually almost dead even. This is basically because obviously ebooks generally are cheaper book by book than physical books, although I do buy my physical books on offers an awful lot. I'm really good at buying books on extremely good offers, so this makes it a bit more even. Frankly, if I want those particular about buying books on offer, then this would be considerably less even, frankly. So I'll see whether I'm going to include it, frankly, again. Next up is also related to price, and that is the average price per book. Now this is stuff that I think is quite interesting, because it's one that I can't really predict, of course, because it will go up and down randomly, but as you can tell, this time it was sort of fairly consistent, then it dropped, then it shot back up again, because of course in June I bought less books, but I did buy some somewhat expensive books in June at almost full price due to various reasons. So this can be quite unpredictable, and obviously in May I did that Humble Bundle, as I previously said, and obviously the Humble Bundle per book works out as extraordinarily cheap. They actually work out as about 30p a book, something stupid. So this stat's a little bit sort of random this time. Normally it's a little bit more consistent, but this can change quite drastically. And the penultimate book buying stat is the book purchase location. And as I predicted in my first quarter video, there is now less Amazon on this list. Not by an enormous margin, but I knew there would be a certain reduction in Amazon, because, as you know, I only really use Amazon for ebooks, frankly. I don't like using them for anything else, because I don't like them as a company. I think their business practices are debatable on a personal level. So I try to only use them basically because I bought a Kindle and now I buy books for it, which happens to be through Amazon. Otherwise, if it weren't for Kindle, I would never use Amazon. Literally, Amazon would not be on this list at all. It would be zero. So I think that's pretty remarkable by itself. And the few other places that I've now got onto this list, now, one of them is, of course, as I've just said, the Humble Bundle, which has now got a noticeable big lump. But that's not going to be on there probably for a long time again, because the Humble Bundles are quite random with what they have on them. So this can be quite a long time before I use it again. I mean, it could be years for all I know. But then again, it could be next week. So. And the stat that I'm going to end with is the one I'm most pleased about, and that is author gender. And as you can tell by the graph, yet again, female authors dominate over male, although slightly less than the first few months, same as the reading fan club. I'm not surprised by this. I'm just happy that it's still indeed so even, and the fact that actually female authors dominate is frankly remarkable for me, as I've said with the reading, because in the past I've always had it been extremely male dominated to an extreme level. So the fact that this is now pretty much even, it makes me extremely happy, and I want this to continue in both reading and buying in the future. Whether it will, I can't say, because some of my favourite authors happen to be male. However, I have now got several authors that I will probably do say that qualify as my favourite authors, like Lois McMaster Bujold, for instance, whom I now love. So that will even things up in the long run, I think, but we'll see in time. So as you can tell by the fact that the camera is now back sort of straight rather than at a slightly odd angle over there, that is the end of the graph. My only real prediction after this first half of the year is frankly that I'm going to be buying much less books in the fever. I've said this before in the previous few years, that I would like to buy less books, and then I'll go and buy a big load in one go. But I'm determined really quite badly to try and reduce it. I mean, yes, I'm still going to be buying books, but if I can try to just reduce it by a slightly smaller amount, I would be happy. I mean, I have managed this year on year. I have bought slightly less books per year than the previous year, although only barely. So if I can continue this trend over time, buying slightly less books and then slightly again, I'd be happy. As far as any other predictions go, I can't really say, because my reading is fairly unpredictable. Yes, the science fiction will dominate pretty much always, because that's what I really like to read. Although other genres could make sort of fairly unpredictable big sort of inroads suddenly, make a big sort of spike in a graph or something somewhere, because I might suddenly read a particular long series of a particular genre, which will make a particular large jump. But we'll see in time. Anyway, so with that said, that is it for all my book stats. If you have any interesting book stats of your own, or indeed a video like this, then please link it. Although be aware that YouTube does actually automatically filter out things with links in them, so if you do, be careful about it. Actually, you might just want to tell me that you've done a video on your channel rather than linking it, because that way I can check for myself, and then YouTube won't consider it spam, frankly. Anyway, that is it. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you another day. Bye for now.